Here we go. Hi.
Hey, friends.
What's going on?
So this is our first...
We didn't talk about how we were going to start this.
No.
So hi, I'm Zach.
I'm Dallas.
And this is the Worship Hangover.
The first ever
episode
of the podcast/vodcast of the Worship Hangover.
Yeah. Is it a vodcast or is it a vlog or...
I don't know. I don't know the word. You tell me the word. If you're watching this on
Yeah.
YouTube, drop it in the comments or on Facebook, whatever.
So here's the deal. We are two pastors. We work in Wilmington, Illinois.
Yep.
At a church called First Christian Church of Wilmington.
It's a very creative name.
I've got my McDonald's iced coffee here, and we're starting this, and we're really excited. Go ahead.
So we've been doing this for like 3 years on a personal Facebook Live channel, and just kind of hanging out with our congregation, which has been a lot of fun. And then we realized the other day that this is something that we feel like we could bring to the masses. And so we're going to try this out in this new format.
Right. Well, what sparked that? Well, partially what sparked that was when we went to the North American Christian Convention, and we had guys coming up to us left and right. Hey, are you doing a hangover from here? Or are you, we love what you guys are doing. That's awesome. Or people will contact us and say, what are you doing? How is this working? How'd you get this started? And we're like, man, pastors are wanting to be a part of this, and people really connect with authenticity.
Yeah, so if you see us on the Facebook Live thing, what we've done is we've really just sat around and been Zach and Dallas's friends, and really communicated in a way that is authentic to who we are.
Yeah.
Most of that's just goofing off, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
Literally what we do. But what we wanted to do with this, and the reason why we're doing a podcast, the reason we're doing a vodcast, is we feel like as we can get more people engaged, we can involve other people and give them an opportunity to reveal a little bit of who they are authentically.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to hang out with other guys and to bring them into the picture.
Yeah. So let's before we get into us, because that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about who Zach and Dallas are. We're going to ask each other, I guess, questions and kind of help you get to know us and kind of get the feel for how this is going. But we were talking yesterday. We've been talking the last few days about like our mission and our vision for what this is. And Dallas is the one that speaks eloquently, and Zach I'm color commentary. So Dallas, just kind of paint that picture for us. We've gone into that a little bit, but go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I truly think that every story matters. Every person's story matters. I really, really believe that. If you read scripture, you see story after story after story of people's lives. And so that's just a kind of a core conviction that I have, and it's a core conviction that we have, that every story matters. What happens, unfortunately, is a lot of times people will get a little bit of a platform, and they'll stop telling the stories of people that they feel are beneath them or whatever. So what we want to do is we want to build a platform where we share everyone's stories. We want to have an opportunity where we can engage not just people who are at big places, but people who are at places that maybe for you're in a town that's really, really small and you're at a church of 50 or a church of 75. We want to tell your story because we feel like what you're doing is significant, and we want to bring that significance out. We're also going to tell the stories of some guys in bigger places and bigger communities, but we want to tell the story of you and give you a chance to be authentic. And that's really the heart here, is an opportunity for you to engage in an authentic way with each other, and for us to tell the stories of the people behind ministry. Absolutely.
Cool. I love that vision. I love helping people tell their stories, helping pastors tell their stories, and people who work in the church and with the church, because a lot of times that gets lost.
I think that we in the pastoral role, unlike many other roles, the pastoral role struggles for authenticity.
Yes.
We feel a pressure put upon our shoulders. Oftentimes, I think it's from ourselves. I don't necessarily think it's from other people as much. I think that we allow other people's opinions of us shape that story that we tell. And so we project an image that's very inauthentic. And so for us to have an opportunity to say, we're going to strip that back, especially in a culture that values authenticity, for us to say we're going to strip back that which is inauthentic and we're going to begin to tell the story of who we truly are.
Yeah.
I think that is hugely significant. And so this is an opportunity for people to practice those stories.
Right. And from what we've seen and what we've been told by our congregation, by the people that we work closely with, is that for a lot of people, authenticity is why they are here, is why they started believing in Jesus again. Because I was talking with a guy the other day. He said, "Man, I lost my faith in the church. I lost my faith in Christ because of a pastor who hurt him just with his words by saying it doesn't matter what he said, but he said this is the first time in a long time that I've felt I've been in a church that is real, is legit." And I'm not saying to like tout what we're doing. I think there's so much validity in authenticity. There's so much power there, especially in today's society, like you were saying, like.
Yeah, and authenticity has been an intentional practice of ours.
Yes.
And so that's something that we've kind of built in. We started doing this, the live thing 3 years ago because our desire was to be authentic with our people. We had more people coming to the church than knew us personally. And we don't want anyone to walk away from a Sunday morning with the perception because they see Zach and Dallas at our most polished, at our best, at our most practiced, right? They see us there, and we don't want them to walk away to think that that's what we're like all the time, because then we become some kind of a spiritual giant that we don't deserve to be.
Right.
And so the goal of practicing authenticity and the goal of the live video has been, all along, has been this desire to help our congregation realize that we're just people. Like, we're just two guys who love Jesus, who happen to have jobs that stand in the front of the room, but we're no better than anybody who sits in the back of the room.
Yes.
And so that's been the practice. And so our hope is that as we interview people from all kinds of different churches, in all kinds of different roles, in all kinds of different sizes, that we're all going to realize that there are no superheroes doing ministry.
Right.
There's just a whole bunch of people who are doing the best that they can, trying not to mess this up.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of what we're going to do on here is we just have a bunch of questions that we've come up with, and we're going to ask some questions. So we're going to do that with each other right now. So what's your favorite pizza topping?
There are so many good pizza toppings. I think chicken.
Okay.
No one else likes chicken.
No, that's not true. As long as it's on a barbecue pizza, chicken is the business.
I like it on any pizza. Probably my least favorite sauce is marinara, or like pizza sauce.
Oh, really?
So, but chicken is probably my favorite pizza.
So do you like chicken Alfredo pizza?
It's delicious.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Or margarita pizza with chicken
All
on
right.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you?
Like barbecue pizza. Like there's a pizza, like when we order from Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
It's like chicken, bacon, barbecue sauce as the like pizza sauce, onion, and these like cherry peppers.
Oh yeah, the cherry peppers are good.
They're so good. And that's my favorite pizza.
However, I've lived here long enough now that I'm kind of become a pizza snob, and Pizza Hut is less and less appealing to me every time I eat it.
Sure, I get that.
So, especially with there's a really, really good. There's like 6 local pizza restaurants in our town, but there's one that's actually good.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly good.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to not go there.
But if we want like cheap pizza.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Right, exactly.
But it's worth the price of admission.
Yes. So what do you do in your free time?
I would love to say that in my free time I play guitar. But the reality is that I probably spend way more time looking at guitar things than I do actually putting my fingers on strings.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I do in my free time is I study guitar. How about that?
There you go.
There it
You
is.
study guitar.
I study guitar. I love to hang out with my family. We go places like we love to get out of town and go do things.
Right.
And just always have. So some days we go to we belong. Zach does too. We belong to this like hillbilly country club called a rec club. So we might go out there for a few hours. We might go we may go downtown, or we may go to Joliet or to Bourbonnais. And find something to do over there.
Right.
But yeah, I love to have experiences with my family.
Yeah, and we're the same way. Like we love Six Flags.
Oh yeah.
I think it's super fun. The rec club, we spend a lot of time out there in the summer. But like things that I enjoy, like I really like movies.
Okay.
Like in TV shows, like I like the entertainment aspect of that, just kind of vegging and being entertained. Gosh.
Favorite TV series? Do you have one?
I have 3.
Okay. You have 3?
I have
Are they
3.
the same genre or different genres?
They're the same genre.
Okay, go ahead.
So The Office. These are in no specific order,
Okay.
because they are all just there.
Yeah.
So How I Met Your Mother,
Okay.
The Office, and Parks and Rec.
So How I Met Your Mother, I respect.
Yeah, I know you don't like the other 2, but I don't care.
I loathe The Office, and it's not because I have any I don't like TV series that break the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm the weird guy. You can blast me for that if you want to. You can hate the podcast because Dallas doesn't like that. Whatever, but I don't like shows that do that. But yeah, no, The Office is I think that's everyone's answer right now.
Not everyone's, because it's not yours.
Well, but
yeah, I get that. And yeah, but I do. I like that humor.
yeah. I am also a comedy guy.
Yeah.
Like a sitcom is definitely if I'm going to pick to watch something, I'm going to pick a sitcom if it's available.
Yeah. For the most part, yes. Like there are some times that I really get into certain shows, but that are not.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, if I'm just going to sit down and watch something, or if I'm in bed and we're going to watch something, it's comedy, no question.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
So yeah, I would say. Oh, come on, brain. What's the movies that have Martin Riggs and
Who?
Oh, Martin Riggs is the character. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover.
Riggs.
Yeah, Riggs. Yeah, right.
Oh.
Come on, brain. Lethal Weapon. The
Weapon.
TV series Lethal Weapon.
I went from Beverly Hills Cop to Die Hard to Turner and Hooch, and I'm like, what are those movies called? None of those are right.
I love that you associated Beverly Hills Cop and Turner and Hooch in the same brain sequence. That's fantastic.
How? It was 80s cop comedy.
Comedy?
Yeah.
No, so Lethal Weapon, the TV series, loved it. Although they had a major cast change, I don't know how the next season's going to be.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I've loved it so far. How I Met Your Mother is one of my all-time favorites. I'm going to go back a while and say Home Improvement.
Home Improvement's great. I'm a little embarrassed sometimes to watch that show now.
Yeah, it is definitely not PC anymore.
No. No, they bash on a lot of people in a lot of ways, and I'm just like, ooh, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been watching with our boys, so we've been slowly watching the whole series of Full House, the original
Full House.
Yeah, because Fuller House is just throw that away.
Yeah. Stop it.
But we've been watching the original series of Full House, and it's been hilarious to watch my kids pick up on the sayings from Full House.
That's awesome. You got it, dude.
That's right. Pin a rose on your nose.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So, you have a family. I have a family.
Yes.
And whatever. So, doing ministry with a family, I did ministry as a single person part-time. I did ministry married part-time and full-time, with no kids, and then now with kids. Doing ministry with a family is very different than doing ministry if you are single, I feel like.
No question.
So how has ministry impacted your family, or how has your family impacted your ministry?
Okay. I think my family has impacted my ministry in amazing ways because I'm married to an amazing woman named Joy, and she always makes me better. And so I can't imagine. I've never done ministry without her, really. And so like she pushes me and she challenges me in ways that I wouldn't myself. And so, what? You have a comment?
No, I don't have a comment. Actually, I was going to say, so the first church I worked at, one of the questions in the interview process, because it was part-time, right, and I was in college, one of the questions was, I see you don't have a wife. Do you at least have a girlfriend? Like, they wanted the package, even though they were paying a part-time person.
Well, even interviewing up here, I know Josh, who was the children's pastor when I came on. Josh was like, so I wasn't 100% about you doing student ministry when you first interviewed, but then I met your wife, and I was like, oh, we're gonna be fine. And it's so true because she's so good relationally, and she's so good with teenagers and especially with the girls because let's face it, I'm a dude and I'm weird. But
I'm a dude. That's the voice I just heard in my head.
Anyway, like, and she balances me out really well. But then with kids has changed the game more than anything.
Oh, for sure.
Because with kids now you have these little humans that you have to take care of, and you have to find the balance of in student ministry at least of caring for these students who love you and you love and all this, but it's very different with your own children. Like I say, I love my students. I don't care who you are. It's still not quite the same as having my own kids.
Yeah.
So, you have to find that balance of I have to make time for these people, and sometimes that means saying no, and that's something that I've learned. Is one of the best things that I've learned is to learn to say no to ministry in order to make sure your family is good.
Yeah, and I think that, and this is maybe just a ministry experience thing, period, but it could be just a growing into ministry with kids. When you actually say no versus when you mean no but say yes, right? And
what do you mean? What's the difference?
So like if you say yes but you mean no and you do something half-hearted or you don't do it at all, then you've dropped the ball. But when you actually say no, just be like, I can't do that. I've got a family thing that night. Like, people understand that and respect that. Mm-hmm. But if you say yes and drop the ball, people don't understand or respect that, even if it's a family issue.
Yeah. And I'm sure we both had people that we've said no to and they're like offended. Like, I can't believe you did that. And that's not our fault. That's not on us. That's on them.
So I did a staycation this last weekend. That's my family's version of a vacation this summer, and just because of time has been nuts this summer.
Yes.
And so we did 4 days. That's all we could squeak out of a staycation. And we had in our congregation, our congregation is a medium-sized congregation, so I still do a lot of pastoral care stuff. And we had some major pastoral care needs that were going on, and I'm like, I can go do that, or I can honor my family. And so I'm telling people, I'm sorry, I can't be there. My kids need me this weekend, and I have this like inner guilt about it. But at the same time, I think it's so important for people in our churches to see us saying, no, my family's going to take priority over this urgent and important thing. But sometimes my kids are more urgent and more important.
Yes.
And so even though I spent the whole weekend feeling guilty about, I should be at work, work, just the practice of saying no and not, I think is a really important thing.
And let's be honest, if you had said yes and had left your family, you would have been feeling guilty about the other.
I would rather pay, if I'm going to pay a price on one side or another, I would rather pay the price that someone in my church doesn't like me than one of my kids doesn't love Jesus.
Right. Absolutely. And as people in ministry, people that in ministry, I think understand that.
Yeah.
But sometimes people who are outside of ministry looking in, like, they don't get the being torn.
Yeah, I think what people don't understand about what some people don't understand about ministry, because I think that there are professions that do. Like if you're a therapist, if you are a life coach, is that even really a thing? I mean,
it's a thing.
It's a thing. If you're a public communicator, whatever, I think you get this. People are work.
Yes.
Right. And so sometimes people will think of a pastor, right? And this is part of the pressure of ministry, I think. They'll think of you like, oh, well, how long does it really take for you to stop by the hospital? It's like 15 minutes out of your day, right? But what they don't realize is that that's not like them who are calling their friend. That's me going to work on my vacation so that I can spend 15 minutes to see that they're okay when they're clearly okay, that one of their friends could do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so I think that's one of the eccentricities of church work. I'm never, ever a person to say that church work is harder than anything else, because there's no way I could be a doctor.
Right.
That is not, I couldn't be a nurse. I could not be an accountant. I don't have the mental capacity in those ways.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those things are incredibly challenging. But I think that is one of the unique challenges to ministry.
Yeah. And people don't, along with that, I am friends with a lot of my students' parents.
Yes.
We are good friends and whatever. And so the other night, I had, the women had some stuff to do, and Joy was going to be gone, and I was going to be home alone with the kids, and one of the other moms really wanted to go to this event, and she couldn't find anybody to watch her kids who are students of mine. And I was like, okay, just bring them over to my house. It'll be fine. And I immediately shifted from, I'm going to have a night to just relax.
Yeah.
To, okay, I'm working tonight.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. I made that choice, but it's anytime a student's around, I have to be on, whether I'm here or at the club or I'm at wherever.
Yeah.
We took students to Six Flags a couple weeks ago, last week, 2 weeks, I don't remember. And as much fun as that trip was, it was utterly exhausting. Yeah. Because as I was having fun, I was working.
Yeah.
The whole time, because ministry is relational. So anyway, I don't think people understand that relationships is maybe the most essential part of the job.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we talk about in our house, and part of the reason why, on our day off, we will often get out of town. So, for context for you guys, our town's about 6,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's a fairly small town because we are one of the larger churches in our community. We are fairly well recognized.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say known, but recognized.
And the other part of that is we are very involved in our community.
Very, very involved in our community. So one of the things that my family often talks about, or that my wife and I often talk about, my boys haven't gotten tripped up in this quite yet because of their ages. They haven't realized it yet. But one of the things my wife and I talk about is the need to go somewhere else so that we can shut it down.
Yes.
Right? So that we can shut it off. And so that's one of the pressures, and that's actually one of the reasons we want to do this is so that we can shut it off, right? We do Facebook Live, or we've done Facebook Live as an opportunity to let people know some of our authenticity.
Yeah.
Of this is who we are, this is how we goof off around the office,
right?
And that's helped some for people to see that we kind of goof off from time to time, but we feel that pressure sometimes of, let's get out of town, let's shut it off for a couple of hours or for a couple of days and go places where we don't have to think about who knows us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not that we're going to do anything bad.
No. But even walking down the street or around the grocery store in town, and somebody comes up and starts talking to you, I'm kind of working. Again. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Like even, and it's not like, oh, like I'm ministering to this person and I'm like, but a conversation that it starts because they know that you're a pastor and I'm a pastor and all this stuff. Like it immediately starts taking energy.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it does, and it's an interesting thing.
And I don't want to say that I don't enjoy talking with people.
Love talking to people.
Yeah, I love that. But there are times where it's like, you're right. I need to pull away and just.
So with that, one of the questions that comes up, right, is how does a pastor get support, right? Because we're often pouring into people. So who pours into you, or how do you find people, things, situations to pour into you?
Yeah. I have a couple other pastors, student pastors and stuff that I go to with that. The other person is my dad.
Yeah.
He has always been a mentor in my life and somebody who has... I know he's praying for me always. I know he is always thinking. And so he is that person that, he's that person. He's maybe my first phone call. If I'm struggling with something, if I know like, hey, I can't deal with this by myself, he's that person that I call. But then I have other guys like, if I'm struggling in ministry, like I don't know what to do, in this situation. I had an issue with a student earlier this year where I was just like, I know something needs to happen. I don't know what. I call a guy named Mark Silen, who's the junior high pastor at my home church. And, he's been kind of my mentor in student ministry for years. I'm excited because hopefully I get to see him this weekend. Then there's a guy up at Crossroads who hopefully we're going to do an episode with really soon, named Seth. Seth Rempel is also in student ministry and he's just in a different context. And so like I get his viewpoint. And then, also there's another guy over in Canton, Ohio that I went to college with named Brian Shelley. And a lot of times I'll just shoot him a message on Facebook being like, hey dude, hope you're doing well. What do I do with this? And a lot of those guys are in bigger churches. So I know that they've dealt with more things than I have, and I just know I trust their opinion. All those guys have been in youth ministry a long time. When it comes to worship ministry, that's a much different question because the guy that I would go to passed away a couple years ago, and so like I've been kind of floundering with like, all right, who do I turn to? And a lot of times it's like podcasts or vlogs and stuff of ministries that I trust, or I'll go read stuff like Austin Stone. I'll read a lot of stuff that's on their blog or a lot of videos that they put out talking about worship. And I have a couple other guys, my roommate in college. I don't do it as much as I should, contact him as much as I should probably, but he's working at a large church in my home church. In music ministry, and so he's got a good head on his shoulders, so I'll go with him.
I think that, so for a long time I felt like ministry wise I didn't have a bunch of people pouring into me, like aside from books, blogs, podcasts, whatever. And so I would utilize those tools, but that is so different than a person. And this once again goes back to part of the reason that we're doing this, right? So a couple of years ago, I went to a random conference that I'd never heard of before, from the Solomon Foundation, and I was like, hey, they're doing an awesome pastors and wives getaway, and it's cheap, and my wife and I could really use a weekend away. And so we're going to try this out. We're going to go to this conference together. And so it was really one of the first first conferences that I ever intentionally went to, like, this is for me, that I'd ever done that for or done that with. And, and that's shameful. I've been in ministry forever.
Right.
And so, but I went and when I was there, what I found, I've always struggled with like significance in ministry. It's always been a struggle for me. My parents, you asked earlier what it was like to grow up in the Henry House. My parents were commission-based career people.
Right.
Right. And so the harder you work, the better your life is. Right. And it is kind of the drive that's there. And so I've always just had that mentality of the harder I work, the better my life is. And so, and of course you measure success in volume. Right. That's the only way to do that. And your significance is always based off the volume of your success. That's your mentality. And so I've always had that mentality. And so I go to this conference, and it's a real small thing, which I love. It's like maybe 100 people there, maybe 150, real small. And all of the people who are presenting are just hanging out with everyone. They're not going back to a green room whenever they're done. They're not flying away to their next event. It's not that kind of a thing. Not that there's anything wrong with big conferences, but it's just there's something that's different about being able to communicate with somebody. And I began to build a network of people at churches smaller than this, bigger than this, huge, of people who we're all just trying to do ministry.
Right.
And we're dealing with the deck that we've been dealt, or with the hand that we've been dealt, and we are loving people, and all of our end goal is just that more people would love Jesus. And so to have people who are at ministries that the world would gauge as, man, they're hugely significant, who are sending you a text message saying, hey, I'm praying for you today because what you're doing is important.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing for me. I had never thought that would be my reality. Right. And so, but it's kind of become part of that reality.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of guys that are involved with that I now look to lean on for support, give a, phone call or a text message to whenever I have a question or need something, professionally. And what's interesting is that once the pressure for significance got taken off my shoulders, our church started to grow like crazy, and that's been the thing that I was going to measure significance with anyways.
Right.
And so it's funny how God's like, I'm not going to let that be your idol. So I'm not going to give it to you until you remove that idol from your life.
Right.
And so part of the reason that we're doing this, is that we're hoping to offer significance to people who feel like they want to be significant, but for whatever reason they feel like they're self-projecting that they aren't. Because I got to tell you, if you're in a town of 300 people and your church is 30 people, that's huge. You know what I mean? And praise Jesus for you. You're giving those people a place to connect and worship and an opportunity to invite in the lost. And there is nothing more significant than that. Absolutely nothing. And that's why we want to tell your story.
Yeah.
And we hope that through this, our goal isn't that there's a ton of listeners. Our goal is that we help people understand their significance in the kingdom and connect people in relationships with other pastors with whom they can be authentic, and that you have an opportunity to practice authenticity with us so that your people begin to see what an authentic person looks like whenever you stand behind the pulpit or in front of a microphone, or stand up in your student ministry and your children's ministry, whenever you lead a women's ministry trip, whenever you take a men's ministry somewhere, whatever that looks like, whatever role that is, that people will see, here's an authentic person who loves Jesus and who loves me as well as they can in this mass of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Love it.
So that's part of it. Personally, I have a brother who's pastor. That helps. So we can throw some questions each other's way. Personally, I have some friends left over from college that I contact. I actually went, so that camp that I went to, I mentioned earlier, a whole bunch of us ended up in ministry. And we're still friends. We still contact each other and stuff. And so if there's something that I really need touched up on personally, I can contact one of them and revisit those friendships. And then our staff is just, we're all really tight.
Yeah.
And that has made a huge difference. I've worked at churches where the staff wasn't tight.
Yes.
And our staff is really tight, and it takes the pressure off.
Yeah. Like, because, we sit here and talk and joke around on Monday mornings on the Facebook Live thing. And, then we go, and Dallas is my boss. And it's weird. I have to compartmentalize that sometimes, because sometimes it's like, Zach, you need to be doing this or whatever. This needs to be better or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, I'm crushed because my friend doesn't love me right now. But no, and I've learned that that's not that. And I can go and pout for a few minutes, and then I'm like, no, that's Boss Dallas talking. Yeah. But that has been a huge help, because I know that if, I'm really struggling with something, I can come to you, and I know that, why, I don't know how to grow this ministry anymore. I don't know what's wrong here. And you won't be like, oh, I need to start looking for another youth pastor or another music guy. And I know that if I mess up words on stage, or if
I'm just gonna make fun of you on Monday.
Yes. That's how our relationship works. It's not like, I know I have the freedom to mess up. And I hope as pastors who are watching this, I hope and I pray that you guys have that, because part of that is how I've grown in ministry, is having the freedom to screw up.
And I hope you offer that, because we've all worked at a church where we were afraid to tell them that we were looking to move, right? Or we were afraid to say, hey, I want to do something different, or I want to, you know what I mean? And for us to be friends, we've been able to send people off of our staff and be excited for them and have them communicate clearly with us months ahead of time. Hey, I'm really thinking that God's leading me to this type of a ministry, and give them the opportunity to end well, and us the opportunity to know that we were going to have to pick it up whenever they left. But you're not going to get that if you're not authentic with your staff. Right. You're just not.
And we've been in seasons where we didn't have that with some of our staff.
Yeah.
Not our staff, but some of these staff.
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of anybody. But so we've felt that.
Yeah.
Don't think that it's always been smooth sailing. But that has made us appreciate what we have right now even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
cool. Well, hey, here's the deal. We need your help with this.
Yes.
We need you to, first of all, we need you to listen to these podcasts or watch this vlog, vodcast, whatever. It's like the Outdoor Man vlog. Anyways, yeah. So I'm the biggest nerd in the world. We need you to listen to this. We need you to like it. If you could subscribe, if you do like it, if you could subscribe, that would help us. Leave comments, that would help us. And the most important thing is if you could share it.
Yeah.
That would greatly help us. And if you would contact us, and you can find our contact information in the description. If you would contact us, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to be on it, if you are working, volunteering at a church in any capacity, we want to talk to you. So thank you so much for listening.
So share, comment.
Sweet.
And we'll talk to y'all later.
Pray for us. We'll be praying for you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.